This is Flyover Film Country.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Flyover Film Country. It is week 2 of summer, if you didn't know, because it's week 2 of Big Brother, and Big Brother is when summer officially starts.
That's
and
right.
This week, we're talking about the Odyssey.
Let's go.
So pumped to talk about this with you guys. We've got me and Olivia on right now. Isaac will be joining us shortly. His empty chair is in the call, and he'll be coming up eventually and joining.
Is Isaac in the call with us right now?
I don't know.
He
He'll
actually
probably
is. He's listening.
He can hear us, but he cannot speak.
Right. So he's here with us in spirit and also actually listening to us. And he's sending us stuff via text.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the Odyssey. While he's holding his child, mind you, like he is that's what he's doing. He's currently holding his baby, sending us stuff that I'm not going to read out loud.
Yeah, I think if we read some of the stuff that Isaac sent, we would get in big trouble. But he did send us something that I literally just saw on Instagram right before I got on this call. So,
oh, he wants us to read this. He said, "Dedicated father who would never leave on an Odyssey." That's true. That's true. Is a dedicated father, and I really, really admire that about him. So let's give it up. Let's give it up for Isaac, our dedicated father. And Walter, also dedicated father.
And Walter, yeah. So, we love fathers.
Who's not actually here.
He's too dedicated, so he's not here.
He needs to maybe go on an Odyssey.
He might need to go on an Odyssey.
Yeah. So.
Well,
okay. Yeah, where do you want to start with this?
I would love to talk about how we both saw this movie, because I think this movie in particular, formats and like the theater you see it in has been such a point of discussion across the internet. So I think we should definitely start there. How did you see this movie, Olivia?
All right. Yeah. So I saw it in Dolby at the AMC in at Quail Springs Mall. So I saw it in the Dolby format. And I'm actually going to go see it again in IMAX format with my parents on Friday.
Nice.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see if I can see any of the differences. But
yeah,
as of this recording, Dolby is the format I've seen it in. What about you?
I saw it in IMAX, AMC Chanel 9 with Savannah, and I saw it in IMAX. And it's funny you say that you're going to see it with your parents, because this is a movie that, like, I guess, I don't know, not a spoiler for anything. I really like this movie. And so, like, I'm considering telling my dad, like, you need to watch this at the movies, and I will go with you. Yeah.
Yeah. For the record, Isaac Salton and Dolby as well. So 2 Dolbys to 1 IMAX. My mom really wanted to go see it, and I was like, I'll go see it with you again. And my dad was like, I don't know, I might just wait till it comes on streaming. And I was like, no, Dad.
Yeah.
You need to see this at the theater. If you're going to see any movie at the theater this year, it needs to be this one.
Yeah.
I think.
100%. 100%. Even more than like Project Hail Mary. Like this movie, you need to go to the movies to watch.
Yeah. So did you have a pretty packed theater?
Yeah, I mean, it was totally full. I think in a couple hours before, probably 3 or 4 hours, I checked just to see, and the only seats available were in the very front row. And I think even those were full once we were there. Interesting thing I noticed too, a lot of like really big groups of people, like 6, 7, 8 people, like groups, like coming in all together.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that in a long time.
I went with a big group of people. I went with, I think there were 7 of us in our group. So it was pretty big group. And so, yeah, this is definitely seems like it's bringing out a lot of people. And part of that is Christopher Nolan is a very recognizable name of a director, which is really cool. And so I think that's one of the reasons. It's got a ton of stars in this
Yeah.
film. Like the cast is just very like all powerhouses on their own. And
Yeah.
so and I think well, I don't know if I would say Matt Damon is as like big of a deal as like Tom Cruise. Matt
Mhm.
Damon has led a couple like I mean he was Jason Bourne, and
Yeah.
so he's had a really great career, and so I think like that's part of the reason people were coming out. I think Anne Hathaway is a draw for a lot of people.
Mhm.
So and then we've got kind of the younger crowd being reached with Tom Holland and Zendaya. So really touching a lot of different demographics, I think, with this movie.
Yeah, for sure. I think too, I mean, the marketing for this movie, I think Matt Damon might be the best actor like in marketing I've ever seen. Like
Mm-hmm.
cuz I love Matt Damon. I love a lot of movies he's in. But like every interview with him, it's like, man, I would love to drink a beer with Matt Damon. And
Mm-hmm.
like I want to support him. I want to go watch this movie because he's in it and I like him so much. Like more than any other actor I can think of off the top of my head right now. Like every interview I see him in, it's like he's so compelling, he's so likable, and you can like he just comes across as a really smart, like interesting
Mm-hmm.
guy, and I love that.
Yeah. Well, and he's like he's really and see that's how I feel about Anne Hathaway. But I'll
Yeah.
get to that in a second.
For
I
sure.
think Matt Damon is really knowledgeable, and part of that is he's a writer and a director
Hmm.
himself, and so I think that allows him to talk about the filmmaking process in a way that a lot of other actors who don't have that experience can't talk about.
Yeah.
And see, and this is how I feel about Anne Hathaway. Like, you know, this is the year of Anne Hathaway as far as films are concerned.
Hmm.
And every interview I've seen with her this year, I've been like, God, I want to sit and listen to her talk about
Yeah.
the filmmaking process and acting for hours.
Yeah.
And I think especially with her talking about the Odyssey, and part of that is she's worked with Christopher Nolan. This is her third film with Christopher
Hmm.
Nolan, and so I think she has a great. It seems like they have a really close relationship, and she really admires him and the rest of this cast. And so I feel like she also talks about movies and that process in a
Yeah.
really sincere and authentic way without coming off or coming across as pretentious.
Right. I think that is like the biggest success probably of the marketing for this movie and like
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff I interacted with before seeing this movie
Mm-hmm.
with the marketing and the different BTS stuff was that everyone that worked on this movie, when they talked about it, you could tell how much they
Mm-hmm.
loved it. Even though they'd
Mm-hmm.
be, you know, Matt Damon told some pretty crazy stories about some of the, you know, struggles of making this
Mm-hmm.
movie because there was a lot. I mean, any Christopher Nolan movie is not going to be an easy set to work on,
Right.
but everyone cares about it so much. They're all bought in 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that like Nolan is uniquely talented at is like just getting
Mm-hmm.
everyone to buy into what they're doing. So much so that they're willing not to sit down ever on set,
Right.
which is
Right.
so crazy.
Yeah.
But it really comes across in all their interviews, man, how much they cared, how important they felt like this movie was. And I think that it's one of the reasons this movie works so well and is so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and also, not only do they not sit when they're not filming, when they have a day off, they're going to watch other people
Yeah.
do their scenes. You know, like they're spending their day off watching the crew and watching
Hmm.
the other their fellow actors shoot scenes and being in awe. Like, you know, I saw an interview with Tom Holland and Anne Hathaway where they're talking about the Cersei scene with the
Yeah.
pig, like the pigs, which we'll get to, and they watched that scene as it was being
Right.
filmed, and when they watched the movie back, Tom said he immediately turned to Christopher Nolan and was like, "How did you do that? That's CGI, right?" And he's like, "No, it's just camera angles and animatronics." And it's like, "What? What do you
Yeah.
mean?" And so I do think that that is really, really cool to see so many, like, the entire cast is just really bought
Yeah.
into what Christopher Nolan brings and his vision and their
Yeah.
willingness to be a part of that.
Yeah, there's just so much cool stuff about this movie that like I don't think it's even possible for us to totally talk about in this episode.
No.
But just a few things like before we get into the actual movie, some of the really cool stuff. So first, this is the first movie ever completely shot on IMAX film cameras, I'm sure. And I've seen people say, haven't they said this about like 12 different movies? And it's like there've probably been something like filmed mostly on IMAX camera
Sure.
or,
Yeah.
some marketing term, but like this is the first movie that's ever been 100% shot on IMAX cameras because IMAX cameras are so freaking loud that it was
Right.
before this movie literally impossible to shoot scenes with dialogue on an IMAX camera. And for this movie, they basically Christopher Nolan and his team told IMAX, the company, like, hey, you guys need to make some new stuff for us because we want to like shoot this movie totally on
Yeah.
IMAX.
Yeah.
And so then IMAX comes back with what they called the blimp, which is like a 300-pound box to basically
Hmm.
put the camera in so that it's quiet enough to shoot dialogue scenes on, which is just so crazy.
It is crazy. Well, and then on top of that, because it's so big, because it's a 300-pound camera, because
Yeah.
it's so big during the more like intimate, like dialogue heavy scenes,
Yeah.
it's it it's so big the actors can't see each other when they're filming.
Right.
So on top of that, they added mirrors to reflect the actors to each other so that they could see each other as they're doing
Yeah.
these scenes. And that's also crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, and you just think of rigging for the locations they shot at would be so hard anyway. I mean, setting up dollies and setting up
Hmm.
all this stuff like is already difficult enough anyway because this is shot like almost totally all on location.
Right.
And but they did all that with a 300-pound camera. Like
Yeah.
it is just
Yeah.
so wild to think about some of the things they're able to pull off with some of these
Hmm.
scenes with that.
Hmm.
And but again, it's one of those things you hear them talk about it where everyone was so excited to take that challenge on
Hmm.
and they were so ready to do this that it worked so well and everyone and you see it again, it comes across in the film. Like it looks great. It's great in
Hmm.
IMAX. And I bet it's
Yes.
even better in IMAX 70 millimeter, I'm sure.
Yeah. I have one of my friends is he's like, I think I'm going to take a day off of work either this
Yeah.
week or next week and drive to Dallas, which is the closest theater that has an IMAX 70 millimeter screen. And I think he and one of our other friends are going to drive down because one of my other friends is a teacher. So he's off. He's
Yeah.
off right now. So he could just go. And so I think that they're going to try to go next week to see. And they're like, we don't care where our seats are. We could be the front
Yeah.
row. And so I'm just like, oh, I wish I could do that. That sounds
Yeah.
so fun.
That would
But
be.
it's like sold out or like mostly sold out, even the early shows, which is
Yeah.
wild. So
This
everyone,
is the
welcome
first.
Isaac back.
Thank you. I did. Yeah, I'm up to speed on what you guys have discussed
Mhm.
so far, so no need to retread. But I saw this in Dolby, like Olivia, and I have had similar. So last year, when One Battle After Another came out, and I saw that twice in IMAX,
Mm-hmm.
I told Jess, I said, there's gonna be a day coming when like our children are, more independent, and I will be going to see movies on IMAX 70 millimeter in Dallas and
Yeah.
for a weekend, and that's just going to become the part of like the norm for me. So I'm just letting you know for when that is the case in like 8 years or whatever. So
Mhm.
and she was like, okay. So anyway, yeah, one day I'll get to see it and get to see some stuff in 70 millimeter.
Well,
But honestly, Dolby, I had a good time. It was like
Yeah.
good sound, good screens, So
Yeah.
we'll try to see it in IMAX before it leaves theaters.
Nice. I I recommend it definitely if you can. It's amazing. And whenever I win the lottery, Isaac, I'll build my movie theater. I'm just going to sink all my money into. I'll make sure, it can project 70 millimeters. So
Sweet.
we'll have
Okay.
one close
Great use
by.
of money.
Yeah.
What if I haven't thought about that? Like, if I did win the lottery, the IMAX CEO said recently that they hadn't, like, they can't expand more. They need to make more IMAX 70 millimeter, or maybe just IMAX in general, projectors.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, just being so loaded that you're like, I want one of them in my house?
It's like when Ron Swanson is at the diner in Parks and Rec and he's like, give me all of your bacon and eggs. And he's like, no. I didn't say a lot. I said all.
Yeah.
And that's, I want an IMAX projector in my home. No. I don't want a projector. I want an IMAX projector.
Yeah. I'll build the screen that's big enough. You don't have to worry about that part.
I got that.
I want the projector.
Don't worry about it. I know a guy.
Yeah.
And a full-time employee that knows how to run.
I was listening to Olivia was joking in our group text about how many times I was going to talk about the big picture on this episode. But so I think it's funny that the first time I'm going to mention it is in the context of the physical media high council that they have, where they're like every 2 or 3 months they'll have Timothy Simons, who's on Nobody Wants This. He's like he's the guy with the glasses, the tall
he's
guy
also
with
on
the glasses.
He's in a lot of stuff, but he's in V.
He's in a lot
right?
of stuff.
Yeah.
He was in Don't Worry, Darling. It's him, Sean Fennessy, Chris Ryan, and Tracy Letts. And Tracy Letts is like one of my favorite people in the world. I wish I could hang out with him just because he's smart and funny. And he literally owns like 10,000 movies, like Blu-rays and stuff. But he kept saying on one episode, you got to get yourself an AV guy. And they all were like, we don't have that kind of money. Or like, and then Tracy Letts also calls Timothy Simons Hitmaker because, which is a funny nickname, because it was around the time that Nobody Wants This had gotten like massive on Netflix. So anyway, I'd think about that sometimes. Like, okay, if I had money, get an IMAX projector, get a home theater, and an AV guy.
An AV guy.
Isn't that just Walter?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Walter's gonna get a new job if Isaac wins the lottery.
Can I continue us on like a tangent for just a second?
Yeah.
Do y'all know who Jimothy is?
Yes.
Okay.
The raccoon.
Yes.
The cryptid in Seattle.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm down there holding Louisa and trying to get her to go to sleep, and I'm just scrolling, and I'm kind of like spamming you guys a little bit with some texts that are probably not appropriate to read on mic. And I said, there's one on like IGN. I don't know why I follow IGN, but like IGN's in my feed on Instagram, and it says World of Warcraft characters want Jimothy added to the campaign, and I screenshot it and sent it to Walter, and I said, thoughts? And he said, I don't know who Jimothy is, and I don't play World of Warcraft. Anyway,
amazing.
For those at home, Jimothy is a deformed raccoon. He looks like if you took a raccoon and just squished him together to where he looks like
if it was an accordion,
rat.
you like squished him.
Yeah, it literally looks like something that would happen on Tom and Jerry. Like,
yeah, no, straight up. It looks like whenever Tom like runs right into a wall and he's just like squished.
Yeah,
squished.
I mean, that's exactly what it looks like. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw him.
Yeah, I thought it was fake.
One more thing. I saw my sister last weekend, and we were talking about how often we watched Looney Tunes growing up, and we were crying, laughing, just like recounting. Remember when Bugs Bunny did this? Remember when Daffy Duck did this? And most of it was Bugs Bunny. But she texted me today, and she said, She said, I'll just like watch Looney Tunes throughout the week to like, it's like my comfort thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she said this episode came on and we were talking about this episode where he's like about to start playing the piano. And then this guy starts coughing in the audience and he's wearing like a tux and he like waits for a second. He gets mad and he like stops coughing and he's about to play. And then he starts coughing again and he gets mad and he stands up and he pulls out a gun and just shoots him. Remains like the funniest thing. I'll laugh every single time I see it. So
funny.
And now kids watch Mr. Beast, bro.
Yeah,
so different.
Yeah.
They don't make them like they used to, you know?
I know.
Here's the cool thing about Looney Tunes. So many things about Looney Tunes are cool. I really love that it introduced so many kids to these really cool pieces of music that, I mean, I know a lot of, like, often I'll hear pieces of music, I'll be like, that was on Looney Tunes. And, you know, Bugs Bunny played that whenever he was dressed up in Viking drag, you know, like, that's just what he was doing. So, this is now a Looney Tunes episode.
Yeah. Do y'all remember the scene in Wayne's World where they're like watching the planes land and Garth asks, do you know what, have you seen Wayne's World, Walker?
Of course. That's like one of my dad's favorites. Yeah.
No. Oh, it's one of your dad's favorites?
He absolutely loves that movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Had it on VHS. He probably still does somewhere.
That's amazing.
My favorites, I thought I had mono one time. Turns out I was just really bored. Anyway, okay, should we discuss the Odyssey? It's been an Odyssey the last 5 minutes, this tangent I led us on.
I really love that we were on track, and then as soon as Isaac came back, he just derailed us.
Off the rails. Well, we can make a good transition because Olivia talked about music and Looney Tunes, and
yes.
The last thing I want to talk about that I saw before this movie that just made me so excited for it was a short, like probably 4 or 5 minute thing. I think I even sent it in our chat about the music for this movie and about how Nolan approached our boy Ludwig and told him, I don't want an orchestra for this movie at all. Like, don't even think about it. I want this to be totally different. And so they started doing research and found out that, you know, the most popular instrument at that time was this flute that you can play two of at the same time. Pretty sick. But there are no surviving reeds from it, though. It's like a reeded instrument. You know, those are very frail, so they've all decomposed and are long gone. So what do? They grab like a bunch of historians and figure out how to recreate these reeds for the first time since like the ancient world so that they can play them for the score of this movie. And it's like, crazy. That is just so cool. And like, I would watch a whole documentary just about that and like the process of doing that. It's so sick. And they created, you know, ancient Greek lutes and like used a lot of bronze since it was the Bronze Age for like different drum sounds and stuff. So there's so much cool stuff that happened like before this movie even made it to the screen. That's just so awesome and so worth your time to look into. But we should probably talk about what actually is on the screen.
Hey, it's funny. I'm just thinking about like the Oscar chances of this movie, which we don't have to talk about right now, but there will be a lot.
Feels pretty good.
That I think it's gonna. It's
they
pretty
got a good shot.
You know, they got a good shot at Best Picture and a lot of other below the line and maybe some above the line categories. But music is. It's just hard to. Like I wasn't able to watch that, Walker, because you did send that to our group. I watched the other stuff about the IMAX that you shared, but I was like, I know that Ludwig did something crazy. So just knowing that, you know, because it was kind of like what Hans Zimmer did for Dune a couple years ago.
Exactly.
And I feel like he's just going to be on this tear. Well, I mean, he may not make another score that could be eligible for the 2028 Oscars. But it's just hard kind of thinking about like, because I really like the score for Sinners and I like how integral he was for that score and soundtrack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I do think it was deserving, but part of me like really wanted Johnny Greenwood to win because he's never won, and I do think he's deserving. And I do love that soundtrack for One Battle After Another and how unusual it is.
Mhm.
But and it was like, okay, he won last year for Oppenheimer. Ludwig did. And but anyway, I think it'll be just funny next year when it's like, I mean, how could we not give it to him? Like he made some reads, you know?
Yeah.
They like recreated
Yeah.
historically accurate reads for this soundtrack. That's sick as hell. So
Right. That's the only, I mean, Hans Zimmer might be in contention, but I mean, how do you not give it to Ludwig? It's unheard of to do that.
Yeah.
I think you got it.
So
it's pretty nuts, and I mean and the soundtrack is amazing. I mean, it's so cool and works so well with the movie, and like your immersion, I think it is benefited so much by using these instruments that like we've never even heard really before.
Yeah.
You know? But it still helps just immerse you in the time that this is set in so much that it's going to be tough for anyone else, I think, to pry that Oscar away from him.
Yeah. That's for sure one Oscar win that I feel pretty confident that they're going to get. So, yeah.
What did you guys think? What was? Can I ask y'all this? What was your previous exposure to this story? Either like previous adaptations or reading the poem or what have you.
Well, go ahead.
I read parts of the poem in school, never never it all in total. And I watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou for the first time earlier this year.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I read parts of it in school. I think I read all of the Iliad, but I don't think I read all of the Odyssey. But I grew up watching Oh Brother, Where Art Thou. That was a big hit in my family.
Same.
And also I watched the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. So
yes,
which is
also very accurate.
the Odyssey. So
yeah.
So that was my, and like I know some things about Greek mythology. I'm not like a super, like I'm not super into it like a lot of people are. I think I did go through a phase where I was about it in like middle school, like I think a lot of people do. But anyway, Isaac, what about you?
I also watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou quite a bit growing up, and the best adaptation of the Odyssey probably. I did listen. So Blank Check covered the Coen brothers last year, I think, and their Oh Brother episode is great, obviously. But the funny thing that I learned listening to that is that they had the idea, and they're like, it would be a journey, and it's like these three guys, and it's set in the South, and it's like a comedy, but it's based on the story, and they took all of the iconography of the Odyssey, but they didn't like read it really.
Yeah,
they were just kind of like, we just remember this and that and this and that. They didn't like read it through,
they like knew the references
really
to it, but
right.
never actually like knew anything about it, which is wild.
We had also, I think I've talked about Clean Flicks on this podcast, but it was a service they would take out all the language of movies, and they got sued so hard for doing this. But then you could like rent these movies in the mail kind of like around the time of Netflix. It may have preceded Netflix a little bit by a couple of years. But I remember watching Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And it was just like tons of, like every single little thing was taken out. So it would just be like watching dialogue pieces, and it's just, there's random word, like, that's how it was listening to the dialogue.
I have to ask.
Yeah, ask.
Do you remember if they censored when he said horny toad? Like, did they take horny out?
I don't think they censored that out.
Okay.
I was gonna say that feels like something they would, but I don't know.
I was curious how you watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou as a child, because as an adult, I was like, I can't believe my parents let me watch this. And knowing how different our parents were in the ways in which they approached the media they allowed their children to consume, I was a little surprised when you said that you watched this as a kid.
Yep.
So
And
that makes more sense to me.
It's interesting. Jess did too, but the big difference between my upbringing and Jessica's upbringing is they watched cable. And so cable does censor stuff, like, but in a way more organic way, and obviously, like, you know, in a so
yeah.
So, but like, I think I've told you all this. Jess was like, "Hey, we should." Our first or second year married, she said we should watch Christmas Vacation, and I was like, "Okay,
yeah."
And y'all know this story. And then she like didn't like it, and I was cracking up because it was the first time I'd seen it. And she said, "I think I didn't like how crass it was, and it was really crude." And she said, "Oh, we watched it on TV, so they probably like took all that stuff out." I was like, "Yep, they probably
real different experience."
They definitely did.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, for sure.
I tried to read the poem last year, did not go anywhere with it, and then I read like a abbreviated graphic novel that was okay. I was blown away by how this adaptation, which I guess is technically the first time anyone's adapted the whole poem into like one movie. I think from what I understand, people have adapted like different sections of it, but not the entire story.
Yeah, I think the other times it's been fully adapted have been shows. There's like something from like the late 60s, and it's like a 6-episode show or something.
I was just knocked out by how prescient. I just wasn't expecting it to be prescient, and kind of like about the collapse of civilizations and how universal these themes are.
Yeah,
because those things that I'm sure are in the poem were just not like, I didn't grasp them whenever I was like trying to read and experience it before the movie came out. So that's one reason why like I had a pretty emotional response. I think it was when he's remembering, the music swells when Calypso gives him the Athena pin.
Yeah.
And he finally like remembers Penelope. I think I got kind of weepy there, and then I got pretty weepy in the last scene where Odysseus is remembering the slave girl being beheaded and the statue of Athena like being also beheaded at the same time. I was just like, I just was not expecting such like wise imagery and insight into, I don't know, what the world is like right now.
Well, I think,
but also shouldn't have been surprised because like he did it with Oppenheimer as well.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is like, this is right. This is on brand for Nolan. His, Oppenheimer and the Odyssey feel like almost like spiritual twins in a way.
Yeah.
Or sequels, if you want to put it that way, in the sense of, Oppenheimer is about this man who creates this thing and has to deal with the consequences of that, of his decisions, and the Odyssey in a lot of ways is too. And going against, Odysseus has to reckon with his decision to violate Zeus's law, which is something they mention several times in the movie, and how that was a really big deal at that point in time.
Yeah.
And he violated that, and that allowed them to win the Trojan War, and come home victorious. But at the same time, when he's recalling the events of the war, you can hear the cries of the innocent people, the civilians who aren't actually participating in all this, right? And I think that that's really the thing that strikes me is it stops you dead in your tracks, and I mean, I was thinking about like, this is something America is doing right now, right? Like this is, and like all of his civilizations, any country or group of people that have had any power have done these exact things. throughout all of history, right? And so, yeah, it really is just really on brand for Nolan to talk about these sorts of things. But I think also, like, that's what makes these classic literature, like, the Odyssey predates the Bible. It is older than
Yeah.
the Bible. Like, there's a reason why 3,000 years later we are still reading it in schools. We are still
Yeah.
talking about it. We're still referencing it in shows and movies because the themes are so universal. And I
Yeah.
think that's really cool that throughout all of human history, we seem to still struggle with the same things. We still seem to care about the same things. Now we maybe dress them up differently, right? But it's still, the themes are all still the same, which is, I think, one of the reasons why I love literature and you know, classic movies and stories and were that came long before us and will exist long after us, right?
Yeah. I think this is why, so, like, I don't know about you guys, but the online discourse around this movie before it even came out has been just so frustrating to
Yeah.
me, and even after, but I've seen a lot less since it's come out. But to have people, you know, saying that, you know, all the, like, Nolan needs to tell the story, like how it's originally written and all these things, it just feels so silly because it's like, for stories like this to persist, it's because they have these universal themes that apply, like, still apply. And, like, yeah, he should, if you're retelling a story like this, make some changes to make it a little more applicable to the time that you're in right now. And, like, this movie, and, like, you know, he does some really interesting things, like reframing this movie and putting it kind of in a place in our history, like with the whole sea people thing, which is not, from what I've seen people talk about, I don't know, I've never, like I said, I haven't read the whole poem, but I've seen people talk about, that's not really a part of the poem, but that is a part of that point in history, is like the sea people, and it's kind of this mysterious group of people that were raiding, like doing these horrible things at that time. And to reframe that and put that on, you know, Odysseus and, like, his crew and, like, what they did is really, really interesting. And I think is such a great and smart choice, and just shows that, you know, Nolan really took the time to not only read this story and learn about it and its origins, but also the time when it was written, and learn what was happening in the world at that time, and then taking all that and bundling it in this retelling that I think is really powerful and works really well.
Well, and people want to talk about, I saw a lot of discourse on Twitter, which is on me for still being on Twitter. But one of the things people were talking about was, like, we would never do this with Shakespeare. And it's like, yes, we have.
Yeah.
10 Things I Hate About You is an adaptation of Taming the Shrew, or Taming of the Shrew, which is a Shakespeare play. Like,
She's the Man
is another great example, right? And honestly, I think we need more modern adaptations of those sorts of stories. I think, I mean, and part of that is I love both of those films. They mean a great deal to me. But also, again, the reason we still read Shakespeare, the reason we still read Jane Austen and Homer and all of these things that were written centuries ago, was because the themes still apply.
Yeah. Well, and just to be like, I'm going to do two things about that quote about Shakespeare. One is, like, number one, anyone who said that has never gone and watched Shakespeare be performed, because literally all we do with Shakespeare is take the story we take the story and put it in different contexts, you know, like, very rarely at this point are you going to go watch Romeo and Juliet and it's like set in the year that Shakespeare wrote it to be in. It's going to be set in it's going to like their versions of Romeo and Juliet set in Nazi Germany. Like they're all over the place.
Have Romeo and Juliet, for crying out loud.
Yeah, guys. Like,
so
we went
The
and
Lion
watched
King
a
is
comedy-
Hamlet.
Literally.
Like,
we went and watched the Comedy of Errors at the Arkansas Museum for Fine Arts, and it was set in New Orleans. Like, guys, that was Shakespeare didn't write that play in New Orleans, but that's where they set it for this play. So it's like
New Orleans
it's just
didn't
silly.
exist.
Yeah, exactly. It's just silly on its face anyway, because it's like done all the time, and that's like a huge part of theater and like the performing arts. But it's also silly to think that like these stories will persist if we don't do that. Like the Odyssey will die if we didn't do that. And we didn't understand it in the time that we live in. Like if it didn't apply to us and we didn't find any value in it, that story would die. And it's like that's why there are stories that live on and have these like long lifespans, and that's why some stories don't. They're written for a specific time, they live in that time, and they kind of die. But stories like this, where we can take them and reframe things and make them work for us, that's why they live. That's why, this story's older than the Bible, because we can still understand it, like you said, 2,000, 3,000 years later. So, and then they're just racist people. So that's the other
and
option.
transphobic.
That's part of it.
Yeah,
not my Helen of Troy. Elon Musk being super normal about this movie.
I have to say that's been the most angering thing after seeing the movie, is because, and I know none of them are listening to this podcast. We already lost them a long time ago. But if you are some weirdo right-wing idiot, if you're Elon Musk and you are posting pictures of Lupita Nyong'o from the trailer and calling her ugly, I want you to know that you are posting pictures of a mother watching her child be killed. And you are talking about how attractive she is in that moment.
Right.
And you need to pray to some god or something and ask for forgiveness because you are sick and your soul is a black hole. Because that's what you're talking about when someone's kid is being murdered in front of them. Like that's what was happening in that scene.
Yeah. I loved how Andrew Tate posted something like extremely racist, and then someone was like, I love that he got arrested like 24 hours later. Pretty funny.
Wearing a women's blouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And pants. He's wearing like capri.
And did y'all see that SpongeBob was there?
What?
SpongeBob?
Like when he was getting arrested, something was going on, and there was a guy in a SpongeBob mascot costume standing right there. I forget the context because
oh my god,
today's been a day. But
that's crazy.
That's
so okay. Speaking of all the actors, let's talk about performances. So, who were y'all's favorite performances? Who stood out to you? Who was maybe most surprising? Go.
Let's start at the bottom, because I thought that Tom Holland was pretty good, and I've seen a lot of people say that they did not like him. So what did you guys think about Tom Holland's performance?
I thought he did great.
I thought he did pretty good. I kind of feel bad that he's getting so much flack.
But leading up to the movie, I saw a lot of people saying they do not think Tom Holland is a good actor, and I don't understand where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Because I've liked the things I've seen him in. I love him as Spider-Man. I think he's a really great Spider-Man. I thought he was pretty good in The Devil All the Time. That's what that movie's called, right?
Yep.
I thought he was really good in that. I thought he was great in this. I thought he played this character really well. He's kind of childlike, but he's trying to figure out how to move out of this like boy who is missing his dad and kind of scared, and into the role of soon to be king, and what that means, and how to be a man in that process. And that's, I think, hard. And I think too, he's so grounded and not muted in a sense that I don't think it deters from his performance. I actually think that it it really speaks to his acting ability that he was maybe more muted, because I think he's trying to contain himself and put on this front almost in front of all these suitors. And also, I mean, how do you go toe to toe with Anne Hathaway, right? Like,
Yeah.
and he did. I think he did. And so I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I was surprised to see people saying they thought he was the worst actor in the movie. I thought he did a good job. I thought his character was interesting too, and I think I
Yeah.
give him credit for that. Like, I'm not, necessarily giving Nolan all the credit for that. Like, I think I attribute some of that to Tom Holland's performance. And yeah, I liked it. I thought he did a great job. So I was shocked to see that after the movie.
I thought he was well cast. He looks like he could be their son.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that, I was listening yesterday when I was mowing, humble brag. I was listening to a conversation.
We get it. You own a house.
Yeah, you have a yard.
Yeah, I have a yard.
Brag.
I was listening to a conversation with so I think her name's Emily Wilson, and she did like a pretty modern retelling, but it's still like line for line of the Odyssey.
Well, she's the one who wrote, the adaptation that Nolan based his script off of.
Yeah, and then there's another author named Madeline something who wrote Circe, which is all about everything, the Odyssey from Circe's perspective. And they both said, they're being asked about the cast, and they said, I think Matt Damon's going to do a fine job. Telemachus is not really the most interesting character, even in the poem. So I'm interested to see how they do that. And I thought that the way that they don't make it, the screenplay doesn't give Tom Holland as Telemachus too much to do. But I did feel like it was very, very well balanced. Yeah. And especially the part I was most impressed with, which I did know was coming from, just reading the graphic novel and part of the poem, was when Argus recognizes Odysseus and then dies on the dung heap. Yeah. And that's when Telemachus, it's true to the poem, that's when he realizes that is Odysseus, and that's the first time he's ever seen him in person, like that since he was a boy. And his reaction in that exchange, I thought, was really, really good. It was just like it wasn't too emotional. It was like still purposeful, but he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is my father," and I was like, "Dang, that was like really good." And I've always thought Tom Holland is a good actor ever since I saw Homecoming. When he gets buried underneath all the concrete and then has a panic attack. Remember, that scene is amazing.
Really
I'm
good.
like, this kid is an amazing actor. Get out of here, anyone who's saying otherwise. So anyway.
Can I say real quick too, after the movie, I had Savannah, while we're driving home, I had Savannah look up if the dog thing was in the original poem. And it when she told me yes, it actually made me a little emotional thinking about how wonderful it is, our relationship with dogs and animal, dogs specifically though, has been like that for so long that it's that was written so long ago. That's just so cool. That's just so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It was really cool. It was really sweet. It did. It also got me teary eyed. I was like, no, I didn't want to cry here.
Yeah, the scene where they're walking up the mountain and they see the lions and the panthers and stuff. There's a black panther, and Jess and I looked at each other. We said, "Solo."
So, who else stuck out to you guys performance wise?
I kind of wanted Lupita Nyong'o to have more to do, but now that I'm kind of thinking about it, I think that it serves the story well that she wasn't in it as much because because Troy ended up being such a tragedy. I will say, I mean, there wasn't a performance I didn't like in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Benny Safdie, I think is kind of the undersung hero because of like the specter of death and imperialism that Agamemnon represents in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just of how wordless he is, how imposing and iconic his armor is, how
Yeah.
still he is when the gates of Troy open and he's standing right there and just walking through. Someone said he honestly reminded me of Darth Vader, and I thought that was apt for sure. But the scene with like where he tells Odysseus in Hades, like, I died, I was killed by my wife Clytemnestra for sacrificing our daughter to the gods in exchange for victory, and then he was killed in his bed. I would have loved to see like 5 to 7 more minutes of just like the fallout between Menelaus and Helen are married, and there's this like sadness and grief that Helen has, and then there's this rage and like despair that Clytemnestra has. You get it in some like pretty upsetting flashbacks when Agamemnon is like carrying their child, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I didn't want to necessarily see anything more graphic, but more of just like that story, that part of the story.
Sure.
In terms of like serving the theme of overall like decay of triumph and like how we are just like not treating each other as we should, like treating strangers as we should, and not following Zeus's law. So,
yeah,
Hey,
I
Jason.
think. Yeah,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
He was meowing at the door so loud, so I had to go get him.
He looks happy.
Yeah, I mean, Agamemnon, like what a aura farmer, you know, just standing there
for sure.
as they rush into Troy, and then like even in the afterlife, he doesn't walk. He just like everyone else is walking, and he's just floating, like
Low key scary. I was
yeah,
like,
very scary.
Yeah,
Very scary.
yeah.
But
Well,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm kind of glad they never took his helmet off, or we never really saw his face, and I think that creates kind of the mystique and kind of this like scary level of like just the intimidating factor of him. But had they taken off his helmet and I saw Safdie, it really would have taken me out of it.
I agree.
I knew that was him, but like it really would have been jarring to see because he's got like a really full face. Like I think he's got like, you know, big cheeks, and so it just would have really it's like kind of boyish, and it would have just been like, this guy? Is that Dean Cain?
Is that Dean Cain?
Is that
Benny Safdie?
Is that Benny Safdie? It would have just taken me out of it. But
it's honestly
sick helmet and suit.
Absolutely. And I think that's another thing where it's like the online discourse about that was so ridiculous. It's like before even watching the movie, it's like you watch the movie and it works so perfect. Like it's on screen, not even that long, and when it is, it's absolutely sick. And it works. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. So
yeah. When people were like, it's not time period accurate, it's like, who cares? It looks cool as hell, so it doesn't matter.
You're like, guys, there are people that are hatched out of eggs in this story. So
yeah. There's a Cyclops, so let's maybe chill.
Let's talk about the Cyclops scene.
Let's talk about the Cyclops.
Okay,
Sick.
so did y'all know that scene? So like, what he does y'all know what he does in the story, right? Yeah. So he like says, nobody hurt me, and that way Poseidon doesn't curse him, but then he eventually does get cursed by Poseidon. Anyway, because he is like the son of Poseidon.
Yeah.
But I did think it was cool how like they changed that scene, but then they obviously put his hubris back at the center by like turning around and just like shooting an arrow at him.
Honestly, the only part of the movie I was like, what the hell?
Yeah,
why did he do that?
I was better like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's really funny too. It's like that's literally the only part of the movie that I was like, they probably could have been a little different. because like his crew getting so angry about that when
Mhm.
like literally 3 minutes before that happens, they poke the Cyclops' eye out with a burning log, and you like
Mhm.
hear him crying to like Poseidon like after that. And it's like,
Yeah.
I think he's probably cursed you guys because you poked his eye out, not because
Yeah.
Odysseus shot like a toothpick
Right.
at him, you know?
Yeah. The way that they built this like 20-foot puppet for the Cyclops,
I think
and
it was
then
60 feet.
It's 60, yeah.
oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
60
sorry.
feet. No. I didn't realize it was that big, which is again crazy.
Yeah.
Just another really cool, amazing, practical like thing they did in this movie.
Yeah.
And they had a combination of this puppet that's 60 feet tall, and then also had Bill Irwin, who has worked with
Amazing
Nolan
actor.
before. He's great. He was in
Tars.
Interstellar. Tars, yes, I couldn't remember
Yeah.
the character's name. Yeah, so he did Tars as well in Interstellar, and so I didn't realize that was him. I wasn't sure how they did the Cyclops until after I saw the movie, and so
Yeah.
that was really cool to see that play out, because that scene in the cave felt like I was in the cave as well. It was
Yeah.
I felt suffocated.
Mhm.
I felt really claustrophobic. I did not.
Yeah.
It was a great scene.
Yeah.
It was not fun to watch necessarily.
When as I was watching that scene, I thought I was going to pose a question to you guys until a scene later in this movie happened, and now I want to ask that question. What I was going to ask is this the scariest scene in any Christopher Nolan movie ever?
No.
But there's a scene later in this
later.
movie that I think is 100% the scariest
Mhm.
scene in any Christopher Nolan movie.
Mhm.
I mean, it's impressive how this movie is like, this is his scariest movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, well, he could make a horror movie, but yeah,
Did
he
you-
could.
He
And
kinda
Did you see
wants
his
to.
interview with Hollywood
He
Reporter
wants
today?
to.
No,
He wants
said he
to.
wants to.
He wants
He
to.
praised Obsession and said that
Yeah.
he is interested in making a horror movie if he could come up with the right idea.
Nice.
Which
So-
I think he could.
I think
He just
could
has to
figure it
follow
out.
the same sort of theme that he's been following all of his
Yeah.
career, and
Yep.
I think he could do it. So I saw where he was like, because the filmmaking process of the Odyssey was so hard and difficult that he's
Yeah.
probably not going to make another film for like 3 years, and it's like, brother, you take all the time you need and
Yeah.
you write that horror film in that process. You do what
Yeah.
you need to do, buddy. So
On this note, have you guys seen American Werewolf in London?
Mm-mm.
I've seen parts
Because
of it. I don't know if I've ever watched all
I
of
have
it.
never. It's been on my watch list for a long time. And because it's been, kind of praised as one of these great horror movies, and it's particularly one of the best werewolf movies of all time. And I guess I'll have to watch it now that Werewolf is coming out,
Yeah.
the new Robert Eggers movie later this year. But I'd read in several interviews that the Cersei scene where the men are being transformed into pigs is
Mhm.
very much like the practical effects that John Landis and his
Okay.
crew used for the transformation sequences in American Werewolf. in
Mhm.
London.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to go check that out now.
Yeah.
Because that scene was like, I was like,
Cool.
I just, the word that's been coming to mind for me this year when I've seen this obsession, the drama and the high highs that I've had
Yeah.
with the movies
Mhm.
this year is delight.
Yeah.
And it's like I can have
Mhm.
delight watching Indy Navarrete like barely visible in
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
front porch. I can have
Mhm.
delight watching Cersei like turn these guys into pigs and just being
Mhm.
like, oh, I know he did this practically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like grinning but covering my mouth because it was like so nasty, especially in the lead up when they're like eating the
Yeah.
tentacles
Yeah, that was
and the
Oh,
meat and
yeah.
the stew. I was like, oh, this is so good. It reminded me of Spirited Away.
yeah.
You remember
Yeah.
the scene where
Exactly.
they're all
Yeah.
eating? Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
And that's what
amazing.
her parents turn into pigs too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's-
Which again, it's probably a reference to the Odyssey.
yeah.
So, Yeah, that scene was crazy. And it
So
was
good.
wild to me because I was like, I know that this is all practical, but I don't understand how he did this. And it helps that like I said this earlier in the episode, that even the actors in the movie, like Tom Holland and Anne Hathaway, are like, I don't understand how he did this. Like, this is
Yeah.
crazy. And it it was such a great scene. And I again, just wonderful filmmaking.
Yeah. It's one of those moments where it doesn't hurt the movie, but I just wanted so much more of Cersei cuz she's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And that scene is so good that it's like, man, I wish I knew more about this lady. I wish I could
Well, there's a
see.
book.
There is a book. Yeah. Yeah, and I've looked up and I like made me look up and read about her and figure out, why is she even on this island in the first place and stuff. And it that is, I think, probably the scariest scene that Nolan's
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
directed, and it was incredible. And
Yeah. Well,
learning that it was done practically was just so shocking.
really crazy. Correct me if I'm wrong, like the gods were intimidated by Cersei because she's kind of like the first witch.
I think
She's like
that's right. Yeah.
she's the daughter of Kratos, I think.
Okay.
And so, like, when the Olympians took over from the Titans,
Mhm.
yeah, they were scared of her, and so they banished her.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like she never could find her place, kind of among like
Mhm.
the Titans or the gods.
Mhm.
And so, like, when she like turned her attention to the mortal realm, that's when she realized like she had these powers and was a witch.
Mhm.
Madeline Miller is the name of the author of Cersei.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I know because I just placed a hold on it at my library.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. I love the
I-
plug for the library.
Yeah.
Read books.
I
That's
would
right.
love to talk about too, ships are obviously a huge part of this
Mhm.
story, and just talk about how absolutely wonderful all the ship scenes in this movie
Super
are.
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I
There's during the really awful storm
yeah.
Oh my
that there
gosh.
I was like,
That was low key the scariest part for me because
that
that's like
was
my
really
worst
scary.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was terrifying.
Well, and I don't know if you guys remember that scene. I don't want to say leaked, but like they filmed it on the Universal backlot, and there's
Mhm.
apartments super close to that, and so people
Oh,
were filming
yeah.
that scene as they were shooting it, and I remembered that. It was really cool to think about that, the BTS that people captured of that being
Mhm.
filmed, but God, it just that scene was also incredibly scary, and just like this movie was loud. Like,
Oh,
Mhm.
that scene was the
Mhm.
loudest in
Yeah.
So-
my
well, 'cause,
my
you know,
theater.
they're like yelling at each other, and I'm like, I have no idea what they're saying to each
Yeah.
other.
It's like Tenet.
And it's like, that's the point.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're yelling to each other.
They don't know either. Yeah.
So, but what's also cool is like a lot of the scenes where they're on a ship at sea was like a real ship
Yeah.
in the ocean. And one of the scenes you can see dolphins. That was a happy accident.
Yeah.
You know, the dolphins just
dope.
happened to show up as they were filming, which was really cool. We also should probably talk about the siren scene,
Oh my gosh.
which wasn't as long as I thought. It was a lot shorter than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
But what I loved about that, going back to kind of talking about sound, is once the guys started putting the wax in their ears, the sound dampened, which was such a
Super
cool moment. And I had just shoveled popcorn in my mouth, and I was like, "Oh no, I can't chew my popcorn now. It's so quiet in the theater." But I thought that was a really cool moment. And
You can barely see them, like they're really far away.
Yes, yeah.
You see some seals,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see some women
Which
who are
I
not
think
clothed. And I was like, I
Yeah.
can't see them.
I didn't even realize they weren't clothed. I just was not paying attention to that, I guess.
Yeah. Real
Yeah.
mermaids
So-
Not
don't wear
important, but
seashells.
just
you
thought I'd
know.
share. So
No.
We learned that in
Thanks
the
for sharing.
lighthouse, Olivia. We learned that in the lighthouse. Real
You're right.
mermaids are just naked.
That's so true. But but I think that was a really cool editing decision they made, because really nothing, we all probably have our own idea of what like the Siren song would sound like, and or what they should look like, and whatever our imagination is, it probably would have been disappointing for whatever they came up with. Like, now if anyone was going to come up with a really good Siren song, I would trust this crew to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that it still would have probably been disappointing on some level. And so, and then if they had brought in like a musician, a songwriter or whatever, it's still, people would have been upset about that, about whoever they picked. It wouldn't matter who they picked. So I'm kind of glad that they went about it that way.
Yeah.
Charlie XCX.
Just doing Brat up there, 365 or something.
Yeah.
It's really cool too, because that in the interviewer with the actor that plays kind of Odysseus's right hand man, I do not remember his name, but he's a great actor.
Himesh Patel.
Yes, Himesh Patel. Loved him in Station 11, and I've seen him in a few other things. But he talked about like Nolan knew they were going to do the sound thing when they were on set filming. Like he talked about that specifically, about filming that scene and them having to make sure they get a really good shot of him specifically putting this wax in his ear, because that's when the sound was going to dampen. And so, knowing that Nolan already knew that was going to happen in the edit really cool. On set is really cool. And I think the music that they do play in this scene is like one of the more haunting pieces of music I've probably heard in a while. I mean, just like, I think it's probably one of Matt Damon's, besides kind of the ending scene when he's in Penelope's arms, probably my favorite part of his performance is this scene.
I agree,
just like the pain that he is like, because he wants to, he wants to go so bad. And then as he's describing what the Siren song is afterwards, and they're showing how he was reacting to it in real time, it just like, man, it was just really a powerful moment.
Yeah. It's, I think one of the reasons that it's so powerful is it's the rare occasion where telling actually is better than showing, because it's like it is actually important to understand how Odysseus experienced that, and how it plays into the larger story of him trying to get home, and at that point not wanting to go home because he has PTSD and all the other stuff.
Yeah. Well, and what was interesting, sorry, go ahead, Walker.
I was going to say, and that's kind of the first time too he acknowledges that fact, right? That like the sirens were telling him that he didn't want to go home.
Yeah. What's cool about this scene is that Nolan and the cinematographer Hoyta, they like told Matt Damon like, hey, you're gonna have like, because it was like an hour from the dock to where the set the set where they were gonna film this, like near that island, and so they were like, hey, we're gonna film you first, and we'll go until we feel good about it, the take. And so Matt Damon has talked about how he really loves that they incorporated him into that too, and how because most of the time it's like, until I feel like that's a good take. And as the director. And so I thought that was really interesting. And so Matt Damon had an hour to think about what he wanted to do with that, as well as like the prep he put into it beforehand. But like thinking about, you're separated from everyone else as you're approaching the place where you're filming this, and thinking about what is going to go into this scene. And it's really moving. It's his second best scene, I think, and probably one of his better scenes in his career, which is really saying something because he's had a really great career.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I loved that they shot that first and then got everything else after that, because I think it does really set that scene really well, and also helps, I think, us understand kind of like what Isaac was talking about, the combination of PTSD and shame and guilt he has over what he led his men into, like, what he did in this battle and what he led his men into. And so, which is hard. Like, I mean, that's such a difficult thing to grapple with.
Yeah.
What do we find next?
Elliot Page.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like, maybe my favorite scene in the whole movie is anchored by Elliot Page's performance. Yeah. Just when sailing, you know, I knew when they said they were sailing into Hades, I was like a little nervous, like, you know, very easy for this to look bad. And then, but I was like, well, it's Nolan, so they're going to do it practically. So I was like, well, then it'll be very easy for it to just be like really understated and maybe lame. And it was none of those things. It was awesome. And it was really cool. And a great Elliot Page's amazing performance in that scene. Really, really just like felt him in that moment, and like his character who like
Sinan,
who just like, you know, kind of just got the shit end of the stick in
the whole that character's whole arc essentially.
Yeah. And so just an absolutely 16. And then knowing again, going back and figuring out that they actually literally buried the actors under the sand and like gave them
crazy.
They had what's it called? They had snorkels so that they could breathe underwater.
It's just
crazy.
It's wild because it was like they had to bury them deep enough that you couldn't see them from the surface, but it couldn't be too much weight on them, or else they would eventually start to suffocate, which is nightmare scenario for me. That sounds horrible. I would rather die so many other ways. But yeah, Elliot Page's performance, I think, was also such little screen time. Everyone being so up in arms about Elliot Page being cast in this is just stupid. Anyway, but yes, his performance was so, so good. And the rage and the combination of rage and sense of betrayal and the hurt from that betrayal was so incredible and moving, and just being so upset as to like why he was left outside of the Trojan horse, why he was the one, and the way that he wasn't honored because he wasn't buried, right? And that's a big deal. Obviously, they mentioned that several times throughout the movie. Was so good. And I loved the whole Hades scene, because when they first talked about it, I was like, is this gonna be like Hercules, the Disney animated movie? How are they gonna do that? Like, I don't think that's gonna work in this. And so that's what I was envisioning, which I was like, that's not how that's gonna be. I just know it. And so to see it to be the way that they filmed it was really, really cool. And again, to find out they literally buried those actors, which is wild.
And more like visceral, like horror stuff, like spilling the blood on the shield, and then Elliot, Sinan drinking it, Agamemnon drinking it, and then Tiresias drinking it.
Yeah.
I was like, yep.
Yeah.
This is dope.
And Hades
so nasty.
having the mask thing over like half of his face was interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting that like there weren't, we didn't see the like big, I mean, Hades is like probably one of the more well-known gods, but like we didn't see Zeus or Poseidon, right? And so that was interesting to me as well, that we saw like or heard visual or audible representations of them, right? Like we hear the thunder for Zeus, and we see the storms in the sea for Poseidon. And so I'm curious, I know we've been talking about different performances, but I am curious, like for you guys, how did you guys feel about not seeing a whole lot of the gods directly, but more so seeing these representations of the gods?
Yeah. I I think it makes a lot of sense for this, for the way that Nolan was telling this story, where, this is set less in it's obviously set in a fictional world. There's cyclopses and things like that, but it also, he did kind of place it in history, like he is doing that. Like, again, like I mentioned earlier, like with the sea people thing, like that is not something from the Odyssey. That is something from history that he's adding in there. And so this feels like a representation of how Greek people would have actually perceived the gods and felt like they interacted with them, rather than like, them being personified and being people walking around, like I'm sure not a lot of Greek people thought they actually saw Zeus, but they definitely think that they interacted with him through storms and thunder and lightning, and the same with Poseidon. Like, I'm sure not many sailors thought they saw him, but they probably thought that they interacted with him a lot through the waves and the ocean and all these things and the wind. And so I liked that aspect. I know that that's been a little bit of other people don't like that, but I enjoyed it a lot, actually, and thought it made the Zendaya moment that much more powerful too. Like, I think that if all the other gods had been personified and were throughout the story, then these appearances of Athena would not have been as powerful. But the fact that she was appearing in person to him and like talking to him and things, it just made that, especially after the ending, like that much more powerful and meaningful.
Yeah, no, I feel a very similar way. I also feel like it's a very sincere way to approach this. I mean, we talk about it as mythology. At one point in time, this was the vast majority of these people's belief system, right? And so it feels like a very sincere way of approaching it without it being minimized or like kind of like making fun of or feeling like it's, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like Percy Jackson, right? Like, where this is obviously, and it is obviously fantasy. I mean, again, we see a Cyclops in it, right? And we see a giant monster. And so like, obviously this is fantasy, but it feels like a really genuine approach. And again, bringing it to our time, like, this is also how people feel like they interact with God, right? Or Allah is through signs. And I think it could be really easy for a huge Hollywood director to kind of make fun of that, but he doesn't do that. At least that's not the way I interpreted the way he talked about this. And so it just feels really genuine, and I really liked that component of the film.
Can I can't really add anything more valuable than what you guys have said. I think that like choosing to personify in the flesh the goddess of wisdom is really is powerful as like the emotional gut punch of the movie, and then also reinforces the other themes of the movie about what it means to be human and what it means to be wise and all that, and taking our fate into our own hands. There's like an interesting little bit of like kind of trivia, but I just thought y'all would find it interesting as we're kind of in the back half of this episode. So I learned this the other day. The other big swords and sandals movie most successful previous sort of adaptation of the Odyssey was Troy.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen Troy?
No. I've seen parts of it.
I think now that the Odyssey is here, people are going to be like, hey, Troy is actually pretty good. And I haven't seen it. Obviously got Brad Pitt, Orlando Bloom, Eric Bana, Sean Bean, Brendan Gleeson, like a lot of like great people, kind of a murderer's row of great actors. But it's about the Battle of Troy. And so Troy was directed by Wolfgang Peterson. In 2000, either 1999 or 2000, it was announced that, just stay with me for a second. Wolfgang Peterson was going to direct Batman vs Superman, and they were considering casting Jude Law as Superman and Colin Farrell as Batman. And Batman was going to come
Wow.
out of retirement, battle Superman, and it was going to be revealed that Lex Luthor was the one who pitted them. It was like very similar plot to like what ended up happening in 2016 with Batman vs Superman that Zack Snyder directed. Well, when that fell apart, Wolfgang Peterson was like, well, I really want to do Troy. I want to do this Swords and Sandals epic. And Batman got passed to Christopher Nolan, and they started developing The Dark Knight, or Batman Begins. And then, like, 22 years later, he does this, like, masterpiece of The Odyssey.
Yeah.
And he had said from the beginning that he really wanted to do The Odyssey and a Swords and Sandals epic. So I just thought y'all would find that interesting. Because, like, the most nearest comp was something that he, like, almost did.
Yeah.
I don't know if he directly
at one point was
going
attached
to do Troy.
I think
Troy.
he was,
I think he was.
attached to it at
Yeah,
some
so
point.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. So thought y'all would find that interesting.
I mean, again, the theme in so many of his movies, Interstellar, Inception, even Oppenheimer, to some extent, but especially Interstellar and Inception, are kind of an odyssey.
Yeah.
I mean, it is about a man trying to get back to his family.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what Leo's character is doing in Inception. That's what Matthew McConaughey's character is doing in Interstellar. And so we see this theme. And again, I think Nolan has this dilemma in his own life of really, he has been married to Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson, his wife, for 25, 30 years. They have children who are I think in college now, or are adults at least, and this being this really massive director, this really well-known figure, and also trying to like protect what is important to him, which is his family. And so it is interesting that he's had kind of this through line throughout his career that has kind of led him to the Odyssey.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing to now be able to look back at his career and see kind of those through lines, and then see even with Oppenheimer, especially kind of that his ethos is very evident now. And like, I think that's a great thing. And yeah, I think this movie's better for that. Like, I think his experience in telling maybe some similar stories really shows in this movie. I think his experience with Oppenheimer and telling like, a historical story that has a lot of weight behind it, like it showed in this movie that he's done that before and he's able to do it well. Like, so I think it's really, if he never made another movie, which I don't want that to happen, but if he never did,
Right.
like this would be a hell of a one to end on, and it would be such a high note. Like there's just so much good stuff. We could talk about it, I know, probably for a long.
Yeah. I know we're at an hour 23, but we have to talk about Anne Hathaway. I'm going to talk about Anne Hathaway's performance.
Yes, we have to.
Again, this is the year of Anne Hathaway. We've already talked about her in 2 different movies this year. We talked about her in Devil Wears Prada 2. We talked about her in Mother Mary. And again, she's giving these are such different characters that she has played in all 3 of these movies. And we still have more Anne Hathaway coming later this year. And so it will be interesting to see kind of what the year rounds out to be like for her.
Yeah.
But her performance as Penelope is so wonderful. I really think it's probably one of her best performances in her entire career. Which again, she's done a lot. She's an Oscar winner, and so I loved that in her performance, she plays this character who, and I think maybe in a parallel way to Tom Holland's character, she has to present herself a certain way in front of all of these suitors, while she is struggling to hold on to the hope that her husband, her beloved, is still alive and going to return home. It has been 20 years. You know, she's raised her son by herself.
Yeah.
And has tried to maintain the kingdom and the order in the kingdom by herself, and can't really do it to the full effect because women can't do that at this time.
Yeah.
Or in our current time, but that's neither here nor there. Right? And so she has these really soft moments, but also even with Tom, like with her son, she is adamant that Odysseus is going to return. Right.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. And so I'm curious, like, what were y'all's thoughts on her performance?
Queen
Slay.
Mommy.
I think the mother, right?
Mother.
Yeah, mother.
I think that's what they say.
I thought her performance was incredible. It was so good. I will probably never forget her delivery of the line she says to Tom Holland at one point, my years of experience aren't worth the hair on your chin, which was such a great moment between them. And yeah, it's been the year of Anne Hathaway. She's killing it. She's doing great work. She's fun. Watch her on Brittany Broski's Royal Court. And again, it's like same. She's the same as Matt Damon. You just can't help but like her too. So it's like, just, yeah, I don't know. It was great.
Yeah, it was really great. Yeah, it blows my mind. I know people who do not like her, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, just like, being haters at that point.
Being a hater, like, I don't understand why you're hating on Anne Hathaway. She's wonderful. So yeah, I think she's great. Yes.
The only thing I have to add here is like she's awesome as Penelope, and I would just really love if she was nominated, because she won Best Supporting for Les Mis, but she's not won Best Actress.
Yeah.
I would love if she won Best Actress for Mother Mary, but that's not going to happen. Because that performance to me is just like, that to me is her best performance ever.
Yeah. She's so good, Mother Mary. I got to rewatch it. I need to rewatch it and reevaluate my thoughts on the movie.
I think it's interesting too, because it's watching season 3 of House of the Dragon right now. There's really a lot of there's some parallels that are easy to draw between where Rhaenyra is out right now in House of the Dragon, if you're keeping up, and then Penelope, and it's I love having two pieces of media where women are trying to rule and all the men don't want it to happen.
I saw where people were upset that they're bringing modern issues into these like older time period, and I'm just like, first of all, this is all fictional. Game of Thrones is fictional, believe it or not. Not real. House of the Dragon, not real. And I would argue that these have been issues basically since the dawn of time. Like, since humans have existed, these have been issues.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Anyway.
That brings up another thing, and I think it was on the docket that you made, Isaac, and I was going to ask you guys about it. I did see some people complaining about how they spoke like modern American English in this movie, which like to me feels a little like a silly complaint. Like, I don't know how people wanted them to talk, like, but did you guys did that bother you at all?
No, I think it was wise.
And
smart, and it weirdly did not take me out of it.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, at what point did we decide that a British accent is what they would be speaking at that point in time? We've just done that because it feels Shakespearean, which again, this is older than Shakespeare. And someone asked Tom Holland in an interview, you say dad, and that's really modern. He's like, and it was like, that's not really authentic. And he's like, well, if it was really authentic, I'd be speaking ancient Greek, which I don't know how to speak, and people don't speak that anymore. So
right.
So what's the deal? And basically kind of shut down like, he wasn't rude about it, but he was, he was like direct about it, and kind of shut down the interviewer. And yeah, I think it's a silly complaint. Like, also, a lot of the words that we think are modern are not as modern as we think. Like, I've seen where people kind of broken down like names, like the name Tiffany seems really modern, but it's actually like hundreds of years old. Like, Penelope feels even modern, and here it is in the Odyssey, right? Like,
right.
In my mind, I would not expect Penelope to be used in something that's 3,000 years old.
No way.
Right? Like, maybe 100 years old.
Yeah.
But not 3,000, right? And so, I don't know. It doesn't, who cares? Again, it's just, we're complaining about things that I don't think matter, right? Like,
I'm not complaining.
We had
collectively.
Jess and I had a fun time. She was just talking through, like, she likes Matt Damon, and we were driving home. She goes, it's interesting thinking about who else could have played him in this age. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like Ben Affleck. And she's like, I was like, I couldn't have taken him seriously as Odysseus.
Yeah.
I literally think Matt Damon was the only person in a film by Nolan who could have done it and was prepared to do it as like a leading person, like a star. He like starred in Interstellar, but that wasn't like the center role.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, like if Matthew McConaughey did it. I was like, Matthew McConaughey in like this world would be like a thief or an assassin. Like he would not be Odysseus. And she's like, and she was like, what about Cillian Murphy? And I was like, again, like he looks like he should be a god. You know, like he should be Poseidon or Zeus. Yeah. Like he doesn't look like a man. Like, I mean, in Oppenheimer, he looks like a man. Sure. But in this fantasy, like those eyes, the angles in his face, it's just like, who is this guy? You know?
Yeah.
Like Matt Damon looks like a dude. But the thing about him is like, he's like one of the greatest actors alive. Yeah. And he's just like, everyone kind of knows that, but also it's been taken for granted for like years, so.
I was gonna say too, one of the, I think I agree, like Matt Damon probably, I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head that could play it. I don't know why Bryan Cranston came to my mind, but like I don't think he could do it, but I do think it would be fun to see him try.
Sure.
But I saw Matt Damon talk about the scene with the giants, which like are not explained at all, and I kind of loved it. Like they're just big and scary and like control the trees or something. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I can't wait to see that scene again. I was like, oh, the trees are moving around.
Yeah.
But they they did force kind of some forced perspective to make, but they also like had 7-foot tall stuntmen, and then all the actors had body doubles that were like 5 feet tall, and Matt Damon said that his was actually a stunt woman, and he's like, and she had like bigger biceps than me in the movie. And so I just thought that was really interesting and fun.
I saw a picture where it was of those stunt doubles in that scene, and it's these like 7-foot men and these like 4-foot something, 5-foot men and women, and it's just like it was jarring. It was weird. It's like that. I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have seen this picture of when Wimby and Mbappe meet, and it's like, this is wild to me because Mbappe's like 5'10" or 11. He's like my height, and Wimby is just like 3 feet taller than him, and it's weird. It's like, this is an optical illusion, and so which is, I mean, that's how they kind of filmed that scene, which was really really cool. So yeah, again, we could talk about this movie for probably another hour and a half. So I don't know, maybe we do a part 2 later or something. Wouldn't be the first time we did that.
The forced perspective thing reminded me of Jimothy again.
Jimothy, national treasure.
I have to say the best Jimothy meme I've seen. Do you guys know the Adam Levine DMs that leaked a long time ago?
Where he said
maybe
what?
Where he just like he was just being so horny on Maine, and there's like a really popular one where he's like, "Oh damn, that body of yours."
Who do you remember who it was?
I thought it was Adam Levine. Am I misremembering?
No, I meant like who he directed them.
Well, it was just like random women.
He was just sliding into DMs.
It was like so it was just like a meme format to put random pictures above that, and then it's Adam Levine replying, "Oh damn, that body of yours is crazy."
Yeah.
And so I've seen people doing that with Jimothy. Like,
that's so funny. Oh my goodness.
Okay, did we decide that we're gonna do Ren Fair next?
We did decide that.
It sounds like it, and I'm pumped.
Darndest to try to watch that, and it's on HBO, right?
Yeah, HBO. Okay. So if anyone doesn't know, Ren Fair is a documentary on HBO. I suggest it for our next episode because the director of Prime Time, the Rob Pat Chris Hansen movie that's coming out later this year, he directed this documentary that I really love on HBO, and I think it'll be interesting for us to talk about.
Did Lance Oppenheimer? Wait, is Oppenheim?
Yeah, Lance Oppenheim.
Did he do the documentary about Primetime as well?
No, I don't think so. I think he's done.
There was a documentary about To Catch a Predator called Predators that came out last year, I think. Right?
I don't think he did it. I think the documentaries he's done are Ren Fair. What is it? Some Kind of Heaven, which is about the biggest retirement community in the U.S., and then Sperm World are the three that he did.
And for those of you who don't know, To Catch a Predator was a show hosted by Chris Hansen in partnership with the FBI, where they would set up sting operations to catch child predators.
Yeah.
In the 90s?
No.
Yeah, like early 2000s.
Early
right?
2000s?
Yeah. I was like, I vividly like that was primetime TV for us in the Clement household. Like we were about that show.
Did you guys know that Phoebe Bridgers is in this movie?
I did, and I'm like, what is
she gonna do?
I don't know.
Phoebe Bridgers? She's in it, and what's the name of the guy? The other guy? I was like,
Skylar Gassando.
Skylar Gassando's in it, and then hold on.
Is he really? Who was in her?
I wonder if that's how they met.
Video?
I wonder if that's how they met. I just thought of that too, Olivia. I was like,
wait, are they dating?
No. He's in her music video for her single off her new album.
Yeah.
So the Lost Boys music video.
Lost Boys.
No, I think as far as we know, Phoebe Bridgers and Bo Burnham are still dating.
As far as I know, that's what I've seen. So did I tell you guys I got tickets to see Phoebe?
No.
Where are we?
Yeah,
oh, really?
I'm gonna go see her in October in Dallas or Fort Worth, and so
that's awesome.
I'm cool. I'm really excited. It's gonna be really cool because it's like I like that we're talking about this as we're like trying to finish this episode, but I'm gonna keep talking about it. So, but yeah, it's gonna be where like she's done with these pop-up shows, like the one she did in Little Rock, where there's like no phones or smartwatches or anything like it. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I saw her in St. Louis a few years ago.
I think I did know that you saw her. Yeah.
Yep. She played a Bo Burnham song too.
Are they dating still?
Dating. Yeah. I've never saw anything about them breaking up, but it's like neither of them are like super public about that kind of their normal lives. So.
I'm pumped for Primetime. Primetime was like one of the best trailers I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. And then you hear Rob Pat's little weird voice, and you're like, dude, this is going to be sick. This is going to be crazy.
How do y'all feel about the Batman Part 2 getting moved back to 2028?
Dude, the whole Dune franchise has come out since the first one.
Which is crazy.
At least we're getting Clayface this fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like confusing too, because like, I don't know, DC is still such a mess. And it's like the Batman stuff and now like Clayface, like it doesn't help it being a mess and like kind of the failure of the past couple movies. I don't know what's going on.
I have a theory that one of the reasons it keeps getting pushed back is because James Gunn really wants Robert Pattinson to be the DCU Batman.
And that is probably the right decision, I think.
I think that it could work. Maybe. But I really, honestly, for it to work, it can't be Robert Pattinson coming into James Gunn's movie. It has to be David Corenswet coming into
Matt Reeves' movie.
What's his name? Matt Reeves' movie.
Totally agree. Rob Pat in a James Gunn movie as Batman would be like,
hilarious.
It would be hilarious because of how wrong it would feel.
Yeah.
I think he would be great in a James Gunn movie, but not as Batman.
Yeah.
He needs to do something where he can be a
prick
terrible person. Yeah, and do a weird little voice.
Yeah. James Gunn's actually going to cast him as the Joker in the DCEU, so he's going to have he's going to be the Joker and Batman at the same time.
That would be wild. So, do we want to land this plane?
Let's land this ship.
Let's get this ship
at
home.
the Isle of Calypso.
Let's dock it.
The last thing that I'll say is that I love that Robert or Tom Holland was nervous about whoever was going to play in Antinous until he realized that it was Rob Pattinson, and he said he's like a comfort blanket to me, and I'm not afraid of him being a dick because I'm just used to him now. So I was like, I love that. They're like buddies.
Yeah, they are buddies. Well, and even Tom Holland was like, anytime I work with Rob, I come out of that movie a better actor because of how much he admires Rob and his work and what Tom Holland is having a great year. Just like the way he's talked about all of the actors he's worked with, and it's been really, honestly, the press for this movie has been so fun for me. I've loved hearing all these actors talking about working with each other and with Nolan, and it really seems like it's a sincere admiration and respect for each other, and so it's been fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Also, one of my favorite Rob Pat quotes ever came from this press junket when they asked him how long it took him to read the script, and he said 10 seconds. So
we didn't talk about Arpat in this a whole lot, but someone made this joke on online, and it was like, Robert Pattinson in this movie is saying beggars like hard B, and that made me laugh really hard because he is such a freaking dick in this movie.
Yeah.
He's so good. I love when he plays that type of character and is such a loser. Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah, he's such...
Get the spears! Get the spears!
Get the swords! The shield! Go... Just so everyone...
That was amazing. I'm glad we have that recorded.
Just so everyone knows, any movie that Rob Pat is in, if I don't talk about his performance, it's like, I just loved it. Like, there's like a 99% chance that I loved every second of him on screen.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Wholeheartedly.
There's one more thing I was going to say. I can't remember what it is.
Do it.
Oh, we got a good... okay, so we're going to do Ren Fair next week. We'll do Spider-Man the week after that. I think.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the trailer said in 2 weeks before Odyssey.
It's coming out July 31st.
But we have to wait.
No, because next week will be the 27th.
Yes, you're right. Okay. After that,
we planned this out months ago.
Sometime earlier in August, I don't know if it's the first or second week of August, but Teenage Death and Sex at Camp Miasma is coming out.
Oh.
And I'm pumped for that. The new Jane Schronberg.
That movie is going to be
movie.
Bonkers, man.
Yeah. So we're going to do that at some point in August. is what I'm hearing. Great.
So next 3 episodes are going to be pretty fun.
I'm excited.
I'm going to try to see Jackass Forever, or Jackass Best and Last, because I love those movies. But
I
gotta
did
stop.
not grow up watching them, so it just doesn't hit.
I gotta stop traveling for work first. So
quit your job. Who needs a job?
That's a great idea.
A job.
We're too busy for me to quit, but you know.
That's how they get you. There's never a
true.
good time to quit, Isaac.
Yeah, there's never a good time
to quit your job.
Which is why I just gotta start playing the after music.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Our music is by Corden Chalks. Our episode was edited by Walter.
Walker?
Not me.